in general, especially with the relationships, you don't really see all of a woman can be to you until you have understood the role that she plays without having to worry about money. It helps for her not to be able to provide not an inch of a dollar. And you see the best from her. I paid $10 for a course. $10. Hear me out. I paid $10 for a course. And that $10 investment turned into over $500,000.
Welcome to It's Possible Podcast. This is where we help people save money to prepare their retirement. And we bring great people on the show so that they can tell you their stories and how they help the community. Today is an amazing day because I have someone special with me, man. My brother, take a minute, please introduce yourself and tell the people what you have for them today, please.
Absolutely. So my name is Dontrell Johnson, and I am here because I am here to inspire you. I am a life coach. I am also a drum instructor. And I also do IT work. And so I've been doing a lot of what I do for a very long time. I have history with failures and successes. And so that's what I use to drive myself to where I need to be. And my motto has always been, you can always learn from a millionaire, and you can always learn from, a person who may be homeless off the street. Somebody has a failure where you can learn from, somebody has a success where you can learn from. And so that's how I drive and live my life.
That's powerful. This video is brought to you by It's Possible Insurance and Financial Services. We have our office here in Fayetteville, Georgia, 353 Glen Street North. Now, if you'd like to learn how to prepare your retirement, to save your money or protect your assets using IUL and annuities, please click on the link below and schedule a call with me. I will be glad to talk to you. Thank you very much for watching the video. Let's go back to the interview. Today, I wanted you to talk about relationship.
Okay.
Because you are a relationship coach.
Absolutely.
And on this podcast, we talk about finances, and I know finance is one of the biggest factor in relationship.
Absolutely.
What type of relationship do you coach?
So I coach marriages, particularly. I can coach relationships, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I coach two part. Something I do have experience in, so I have been divorced. And then relationships themselves. Anything that's something that I haven't done, I don't coach. Okay. And so I've had clients in the past who say they are, same sex. I can't help because I don't have experience with that. You know what I mean? Not that I'm giving you anything, but I don't have experience in that. So I do primarily coach for marriage because I do believe that is the end goal. At least if you are a person who doesn't feel like you're going to be single for the rest of your life, if you're a person who feels like you do want to get married, I feel like that should be the end goal and not necessarily a relationship for the rest of your life. Okay. So a lot of stuff that I do have that is in reference is going to be reference from, if you are Christian, right, biblical reference to marriage itself.
All right. So tell me what factor or what role finance plays in a marriage.
So I have many different ideologies, if you will, for how I believe finances are important. I think the main aspect of finances, this is just how I think, is the man, even in today's time, is hard. I've had to figure it out. I feel like the man should get himself to a point where he's making 100% of the finances. And people will disagree and they'll say, no, 50-50 and all that stuff. But I think in general, especially with the relationships, you don't really see all of a woman can be to you until you have understood the role that she plays without having to worry about money, because it never really was in her place to try to figure that out. Will she for survival? Yes. Women are strong. Women are powerful. They're resilient. But to see all the qualities that she can, this is something I've learned in my life, to see all the qualities that she can provide to you, it helps for her not to be able to provide not an inch of a dollar. And you see the best from her.
Wow. Not worried about money.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And even with hard times, there have been hard times in relationships. And with finances, like if you have a woman who focuses on finances themselves, right, what you have in the bank, and that's her sole focus, she could never see you for who you are. And so my current girlfriend now, we're working toward marriage. She sees who I am. She sees that I'm a go-getter. I'll figure it out. I'm not the person who says, well, it's not what I like to do. That's not like, and I always reference to this, like the person who made tissue didn't sit there and lay with the tissue all day. So it's up to us to figure out what to do. And so she sees that I'm like that. And so when we were down, I was down financially for all of maybe a month, if that. And I was right back to where I needed to be financially. And so it still brought her into a peaceful aura of like, wow, I really don't have to do anything. And I can see who she wants to show up as in a relationship because of that.
Are you saying that because you think she's going to be watching the video?
No.
No, I'm just teasing.
No. You know, I would love to be transparent. I'm transparent with everybody.
Okay.
And I do have 2 past failed divorces or failed marriages. And my previous past failed marriage, the problem with that is I was making not yes and no to the degree of money that I was making, that I'm making now. But I've heard the saying for a lot of times, you're not my person. And so that didn't matter. Like the fact that she didn't have to work didn't matter. And it's ironic. It's not for everybody, right? The what I said earlier in regard to a woman showing up, she has to want that, to want to be free. Because my ex-wife, she's like, yeah, I just want to work and I just want to do this. And it made absolutely no sense to me. If she would have said, I just want purpose, and I said, okay, let's find out what we can do. But, you know, I just want to work and I just want to go to somebody's job and I want to punch a clock. That made no sense to me. And so to answer your question, I'm not saying it because she's listening, but I'm saying it because she is the type of woman who wants that traditional lifestyle, you know?
That's good. Yeah. Now, some men will tell you that they don't agree with that because it should be like 50-50.
Yeah.
And women have to work or things like that. Yeah. So where did you get this ideology or theory? Where did you get it from?
So I got this theory from my own life experiences, but growing up in church, it was not it feels good, right? We go to church, it's a good experience. Depending on the church you go to, I grew up in a lot of prosperity gospel. God's going to make a way. He's going to do it. It's going to happen for you. And they don't teach us to be practical. They don't really teach us to use our hands. It wasn't until when I initiated this last divorce where I realized, man, if she wasn't with me, I have to figure this stuff out on my own. So when I'm telling people the information I have now, please understand it wasn't something I was born with. Like I was the guy who was down and out and I had a bad day at work and I'm going to play 10 hours of Call of Duty. And it's like when you don't have somebody, and the one thing that shocked me out of this is I started to make the figures, and it's the first time I made, if you don't mind me talking about actual figures.
Go ahead, yes.
First time I made $100,000 was in that marriage, but it was like the first year. So like when the pandemic hit and all that stuff, that was my first time I made $100,000. But my mindset still didn't shift. I still had this, I need her to do this and I need her to do that. And so my car couldn't get registered in Georgia. And there was a bunch of stuff that happened, but I was comfortable in her car. She had a Nissan Altima. I had live recordings and stuff and other things with people that came down. I invited them to, and we're 6 people in a car in a Nissan Altima.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was those embarrassing moments that shaped my mind to be like, dude, you're supposed to be doing all this on your own. And so when I had a perspective change when she left, well, I transparent, infidelity took place, and I'm like, hey, we got to figure something out. But she ended up just saying, hey, I'm good anyway. I wanted to leave anyway. I realized it wasn't the heartbreak that hurt so much. It was the fact that I was without. So it was the fact that now I don't have the car that I was comfortable with. Now I don't have the things that she had, right, that was inherited from her parents and things. It's like, now I don't have that. Like, yeah, you have the capital, but now you don't, you know what I mean? You don't have the good credit. Okay. You let your credit go. I was like, man. And so that's when I realized, and then even in the dating strategy or the dating pool and now in my relationship, it all worked out. I realized you have to do this on your own. And that even attracts the woman that you're desiring. Like, you have to do this on your own. If nobody else is there, like, I realize as a man, you hear it on YouTube, but I realize as a man, no one's coming to rescue you. No one.
You got to figure it out.
Got to figure it out, man. Got to figure it out.
And before I go there, I want to stay a little more on finances in relationships.
Absolutely.
Right. So you made $100,000 when pandemic hit. Do you think that in your 2 previous marriages, do you think that finance played a role in your separation, or it was just the type of person you were with?
Man, I am definitely going to say finances played a role, but for me, I would say if I had to dial that down 50-50, that 50% was my fault. And the reason is I attend VCA, Victory City, Atlanta, Pastor Smokey Norfolk, and I play drums there.
Okay.
And my pastor said something today. We're all used to, I'm not sure if you know him or not, we're all used to his I Need You Now and all these other records and like, oh man, you've always been rich. Today's the first time he actually made a statement about how his wife held him down. She told him, I'm going to give you 5 years. She was making the bread. I'm going to give you 5 years to figure it out. And he was playing here and singing here. And any musician can understand, you going here. It's little money. And so when I was with my first wife, she was essentially holding me down. It came with stipulations. And so it came with the rough attitude. It came with the physical violence and stuff. When she didn't get her way, like, it came with that stuff. And so that's something I couldn't deal with. But also because of that, not having experience and having that depression and depressive state, that 50% was on me, because after I got home and after I did the gigs and all other stuff, it's still not a financially well life. Yeah, people know your name. Yeah. They like, they're excited to see you. Like, man, he's coming to play here, man. But they don't, the finances are not there. The one thing that's going to feed the kids, a high five is not going to put, food on the table. Yeah. So that was definitely on me. And that financial aspect, the mindset I have now, I wish I did have earlier. But that was definitely I would say that was my fault for sure.
So what advice would you give to a man right now who is trying to figure it out? Because I believe inherently every man would feel so good if they are the sole provider of their family. Yeah. So sometimes they try, but they don't have the support of their family or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes they give up. Yeah. What would you say to someone who's about to give up right now?
The one thing I would say to a person, is it okay if I look into the camera?
Oh, yes, of course.
Awesome. Yes. The one thing I would say to a person who is about to give up as a man is it is not anyone's job to believe in you. In fact, hear me out when I say this. It is not even your job to believe in yourself. The reason why I say that is, if you believe in yourself, like they tell you in the motivational speeches, then you would already have accomplished it. The one belief you have to have is someone wrote a book of wisdom so that you don't have to go through something in this season. So when it comes down to making money, when it comes down to earning income, you can do anything that you would like to do if you follow habits. Everything in life follows principle. And so even with the law of gravity, you can try all you want to rewrite that law. You can try all you want to reinvent a new way of a wheel. There's got to be a way. Maybe if I made it an oval and then just shrunk it back down to a circle, it's still a circle. Don't focus so heavily on believing in yourself. Focus so heavily on understanding that there's only one thing that separates you from a successful person, and that's a season. What you do with that time, you need to emulate what that person is doing in a season. And the second bit of advice I can give you is you have to fall in love with audibles. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I mean this, and I say this to people in my friend group, my family, all of that stuff. There are people who love me for what I'm saying, and the people who hate me for what I'm saying. My parents did not make enough money to send me to college. I could not get the grades I did not get the grades and get a scholarship for college. I went to college. And when I went to college, I tried for 2 years. And then they told me that the financial aid ran out. I was broke for 10 years trying to find an alternate solution to my life. I was broke for 10 years trying to find an alternate solution because I could not find a job. Once I cracked down and said, it is up to you and no one else, I decided that I was going to go into IT because a friend told me what his job is and all that stuff. He said, get certifications, start there. I was able to go into IT, and I went into IT. I paid $10 for a course. $10. Hear me out. I paid $10 for a course. And that $10 investment turned into over $500,000.
Whoa.
Because I believe that there was a way to do, if you can believe that there's a way to do something outside of your norm. Everybody thinks go to school. I could have said I'm a failure. I'm just going to sit on the couch for the rest of my life. That could not be me. There had to be some other way, because those CEOs at the top of companies, they have high school diplomas and sometimes nothing at all. They're the ones that are writing the rules. So I had to write the rules of my life. What I can tell men right now is find an audible. You can find an audible. Do not sit and wait for the knight in shining armor, which is you to come.
You say find an audible.
Yeah.
What is the audible?
The audible is, for instance, using the school. Like I couldn't go to school, and I wanted to do IT. I wasn't too great at it.
Okay.
But finding an audible, for instance, like the $10 course, right? If I use a different example, audible in regard to my drumming, it's easy for me to say, like I've played with Erica Campbell. I've done the Dove Awards. I've done stuff for there was a show, Diddy's, all that stuff, and it was probably not great to talk about it now. But a lot of stuff, man. I've been on TV, all that. But I didn't have a resource group that said, here, spoon feed, spoon feed, spoon feed, spoon feed. We figured it out. And so when I say find an audible, I'm not saying get rid of your plan A. I'm saying find a way to fund that plan A, right? Spiritually fund it, or physically, financially fund it. We're talking about finances here.
Yeah.
Find a way to fund that. Whatever your dream is, it's still valid.
Now, let me go back into the $10 course.
Yeah.
You took a $10 course and it turned to $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk me through that process.
Yeah, man. So I took a $10 course. It was a CompTIA 900, 901, 902. And that was like the entry level to computers.
Okay.
And so when I took that, the story in it is kind of insane, because a lot of people are like, hey, man, help me out. Get me into IT and get me here and get me this job. And I explained to them, I will guide you from the beginning to the end if you'd like. But a lot of people don't want that road. And with that road, I was working a job that paid $15 an hour, and it was a call before you dig. And so it was just outside, you're scanning the ground and, scanning, checking for underground utilities, and you get emergencies in the middle of the night. And when you're on call, it was bad.
It was crazy.
And so I was working about 15-hour days at one point.
Ooh.
15-hour days.
15.
But I was so dedicated to getting the life that I freaking wanted that I still had to spend 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours with family. I slept for about an hour, 2 hours, and I wouldn't recommend anybody do this part, but I did that for like a month and a half.
Wow.
And the other time that I had, when I wasn't working 15-hour days, and sometimes even when I was studying so I could pass that test. I was studying heavily. And the course was supposed to take me, 3 months to complete. It took me about a month and a half. I was that hungry. And so when I finally took the course, the certification that I got was the Udemy CompTIA certification. Okay. And so I said, let me apply for some jobs anyway. I couldn't afford the exam. So let me apply for some jobs. I ended up getting a job at Aetna. And when I got the job at Aetna, they were telling me, hey, man, as long as you got customer service, IT is not really what we're worried about. If you have customer service, you're good. Okay. I said, cool. So we did training for about 6 months. And after the 6 months after 6 months was over, I went to Cigna. And so that was a little bump in a pay increase. But it was just a sponge for information. Now, where things changed for me was I thought to myself, because now I'm working for a little bit more with a little bit less. Okay. Right. So time is more valuable to me than money is. People talk about leveraging time. That's how you really pay for things. Yeah. And so it was important to me. Like, I'm only doing 8 hours now. I'm good. But now I'm at Cigna and the pandemic hits. And so it's the physicality, the physical aspect of it. When I graduated, per se, if you will, from the course, I was still doing physical stuff. I'm doing things with the computer and all that. And when that tanked and all we had was unemployment now.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, now I have to take this to the next level. So what I did was I studied Microsoft things and all that stuff. The reason why I say it was a $10 investment is because I didn't pay for the rest of that stuff. Like I studied the Microsoft and all those certifications and all that stuff without taking the test with my CompTIA, and told these jobs when I got in, hey man, if you want to hire me, you know, I know this, I can show you. And I would tell them, test me before you hire me.
Wow.
And some of them would. One job literally said, I want you to put together questions that you would ask on an interview for other people because of your knowledge. And I said, cool.
Wow.
But what changed the trajectory is when I started to get into the Microsoft 365 stuff. That's when those jobs started getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And I became a global administrator in about 2 years.
Wow.
And that's like the administrator of everything. So like even now, excuse me, while I'm working on the entrepreneurial journey, right now I am a federal contractor. I'm a contractor for the federal government. And so I am the senior Microsoft 365, one of the senior Microsoft 365 people for the IRS. And so it's like all of that stuff took place because I just found a way. $10.
That's powerful, man. That's like, man, wow. Man, you just motivated me here, man, to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, okay. Man, this is a masterclass right here. And now someone would watch this and start changing their lives, of course.
Yeah.
Now, let's say a woman that's not working and she's feeling bad about it because she needs to be making money. So what would you tell her?
So a woman who feels bad about not making money, the greatest resource that you're ever going to have, in my opinion, is going to be a helpmate. But one of my favorite terms that Myron Golden uses is, if it's not working for you, it's working on you.
Oof. Yes, sir.
And so the greatest way, and I'll use my girlfriend for an example. One day I'll say wife, but I'm using my girlfriend for an example. She was, I can't remember what type of manager. It's like right under the general manager for Hilton. And she knew what it was like to wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and go and do and get. And so what it did, it intensified, I would say, the training for a relationship or for a marriage. So now she can come into a marriage and kill the game because she knows what it's like to sacrifice, right? People sacrifice for jobs, then people sacrifice for relationships. Relationships will always be important, but if you learn how to sacrifice for a job, right, give your all. A pastor said to me before, don't show up to the job as if it's like, I don't really want to be here. I don't really want to, show up as if, yo, God, you didn't have to give this to me, right? And so kind of narrowing in on the question, what I would do is focus on where people need help first.
Okay. Don't
really focus on what I want to do and how I want to do it. That's a setup for failure. Because 6 times out of 10, if you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage, by the time you want to get to a marriage, you're going to find that what you agree with is not going to be what your husband may agree with. And so when you focus on what other people need and other people's wants are, not only will that probably make you rich.
Well, let me say a married woman.
A married woman.
Yes, that's not working and not making money, not bringing money in the household. Right?
So I'm clarifying, how will a married woman, if she feels bad?
Yes, like feeling bad about the situation that she's not bringing money.
Yeah.
Right now. So
I guess my question is why?
Because she ain't working.
But why would that bother her,
Well, we got to find a word for her.
I think if a woman is in a relationship and she cannot find purpose underneath her man, I think that will make her unhappy. So if I use an example of a woman who's, say, working, I'll say a man is working, he's making $150,000, but he is happy with his job. He hasn't provided her with anything to do except the housework. Now you say, take a person like, TD Jakes, his wife can be extremely happy with what she does because it's purposed underneath her man.
That's right.
And so at any given time, if she decides, I need to take a 10-year break, it'll always be in her back pocket that she can form something because her man has purpose.
That's right.
And so if a woman is feeling bad in that situation, that scenario, I don't know if I have great advice other than being a helpmate, literally like saying, hey, I want to do this. This is my dream. This is my goal. Even if we have to downsize the house, even if we got to give one of the cars back, can we take a portion of our funding and put that towards this so I can do something? If you're already set, right? However, if it's more of a poverty situation, you know, you're not doing too well, you're not in a good space, I think at that point, some plan should be made. If she does feel bad, I think she should bring it up, or, you know, I would say bring it up. Hey, I want to get a job.
Okay.
I want to help out. You know, if she wants to.
Yeah.
But don't just feel bad.
I got you, man. Yes. Okay. Okay, man. That's powerful. Whoa, man. This is good. This is good. So, finances and relationship. This is like a masterclass for marriages. Couples, sit down and watch this because this is packed. You talked about prosperity gospel.
Yes.
I believe that prosperity gospel is good.
Okay.
But the message we call prosperity gospel, it's a lie.
Okay. I'm listening.
Right? Because God is a prosperity God. He says, silver and gold is mine.
Yeah.
So I believe that we need to preach a gospel of prosperity.
Yeah.
But some messages that I hear is just people lying to other people.
Yes.
But it's not a prosperity gospel.
Right.
And I believe we should remove that name to these messages because they don't deserve to be called prosperity gospel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And not to cut you off, I hope I'm not cutting you off.
Yeah.
The messages with prosperity gospel, I really do honestly feel that if you strip the finances and it's really a business, if you strip that away from them, they wouldn't have anything else to say.
Nothing. Yeah. So it's not prosperity.
No, it's give me your money, put stuff in my pocket, and, you know, fund my house and I'll give you you'll get a mansion. Like some of the craziest things I've heard.
That's not gospel.
No.
Gospel is good news.
Yeah.
All right.
Change your life.
Yeah. Now, man, that's good. Okay, so talk to me about how you make money.
Okay. So there are about 5 different avenues in how I make money.
Okay.
So the biggest avenue is going to be the IT. So a lot of that is going to come from government contracts, government funding. That's going to come from jobs. And some of that can be freelance too. Okay. And so I'm actually looking to start a company shortly because I did the math and the math is not mathing.
Okay.
I am a senior Microsoft 365. That comes with a lot of branches, but maybe 7 branches in that major. And those 7 branches, each of them pay about 100 to 150 grand. I know how to do all 7, and I would max out at maybe 100, 175.
Wow.
So if I know how to do all 7, and I'm only maxing out at 100, 175, and you're using me for all 7, you know. So I would love to start
in a million.
Yeah, you get what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm going to start a business with that. Another way that I make money is going to be my drumming. I've been doing that for a long time. And the scalability of drumming is amazing that a lot of drummers don't understand. Where it comes to making money, it's still time for money. Again, if you're looking to solely say, I play for this artist, that is fine, that's dandy. But guess what? That's still $700. You know what I mean? The scalability of teaching other people, right? Like the Bible actually shows us that you can make millions from teaching other people. That is where I'm leading to now with my donj.com and the courses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's actually building quite fast.
So you teach people how to play drums?
Yeah, essentially. So I'm starting with that. I'm going to teach people how to play drums, and then I'm going to transition over into 2-part, which is not the lower level. 1 tier is teaching people how to play drums. The 2nd tier is teaching other musicians how to scale their business. A musician is a business. You don't play for this church. You don't play for this place.
Yeah.
You're a business. So teaching you how to scale and make the most out of what you know how to do. People are willing to pay for some weird stuff. I had a guy who was like, "Hey man, I will fund you $300 a week to come tune my drums every week." I'm like, I do that in 5 seconds, but I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So teaching them how to scale. That's the second thing.
Okay. So give him a 2-minute class, or on how to do that. Let's say a drummer, some guy been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
But they only play for the church.
Yeah.
Right. So tell him something then.
Oh, cool. So drummer, that's an easy one. Drummer who's been playing for a church. And I'm going to make this a little less vague.
Okay.
Because this is something I've seen a lot of this for a long time. Drummer been playing for a church, and he's been there for quite some time. He's actually grown. He's learned, and he's still making the same amount of income. Yeah. The biggest problem comes with him and being coaxed into the mindset of, I'm just playing for the church. And so if we're talking finances, we want him to improve his finances.
Yeah.
He has to figure out how to leverage his time more. And I will say he needs to become more than a drummer. That's the first thing.
Okay.
In today's time, you can't just be a drummer and say, I'm really going to make it. No, I mean this in extreme humbleness. But if somebody went to hire me, and they say, I'm going to hire this drummer. This is for a long time, 5-month project. And they went to hire somebody else. That guy says, I'm a drummer. I've been playing for 20 years. I played on this stage. I played on that stage. I played on this stage. I did this. I did this. Somebody said, ooh. Then they hear him play. Wow, he's good.
Okay.
Then you came to me. I don't really have to give you the experience and the years of experience, but I will tell you, I'm a drummer. I'm an audio engineer. I'm a post-audio engineer. I know how to do video. I know how to do this. I even know business. I can teach you how to scale. And in fact, because I'm in IT, I can help your business grow, which is your church. And I can get ads and all stuff. I know how to build websites. I instantly become way more valuable than the person who says, I've done this for 20 years, because your experience speaks out to those people. But for where I need to go, I would love to maximize. If everything is a competition, I need to maximize where I'm going to go with the next person I'm going to leverage. And so drummers itself, like church drummers especially, and church musicians, they don't see where they can leverage. Like, I am going to consistently not push, but kind of sneak stuff in there. Hey, man, we're learning these songs this week, man. Why do we have 5 group chats, man?
Yeah.
$5,000, you guys I can set you up with a whole set it and forget it. We can put everything in teams, and we can do this, we can do this. I'll set up all this stuff on the back end, security, you'll never get hacked, all that stuff, you know what I mean?
But it seems like you are gifted.
Yeah. Man, I got to be careful with that word, man, because of the whole fake prosperity gospel.
Well, I believe not everybody can do all the things that you do.
Yeah.
It seems like you do things with, you have the ability to do different things.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to say this, man. There was a smile you had. You met me in the gym. There was a smile that you had on your face. And when you mentioned the podcast, I was all in because I could feel and I could sense your spirit. The things that I do is for that very reason. That smile you had on your face, your spirit was happy, you were joyous. I got a yes, this is good. That is the very reason why I do things. And you could call it a gift, but that's really cultivated, because I can truly say 80% of my memories are like getting stabbed in the back. And so to remain good to people is an extremely hard thing to do. But I do it because it gives me fulfillment. It gives me joy, right? Happiness is a byproduct of joy. It gives me joy. And so the things that I do all line up because I want somebody to be like, man, I need this. Oh, I got that. I need this. You do? Yeah, I do, man.
Okay.
So
that's powerful, man. That's amazing. So, okay. For a drummer, let me make sure they understand exactly what to do, right? A drummer who's been playing for a long time. They want to scale. They want to start making more money. You say they should learn something beside playing the drums.
Correct. Now, if you don't and you say, I can't do that, then your best bet is going to be to teach other people how to do what you're doing.
Okay.
And what I've learned is, when I taught drumming, I was a drum instructor one-on-one, right? If we're talking about scalability, I was a drum instructor one-on-one. I was charging $50 an hour. I was burnt from the top of the day to the end of the day. I was burnt. it wasn't until I put the math together and I said, and somebody correct me in the comments because I know I might butcher this, but I said, man, if I charge $17, which I do, if I charge $17 and give you, just slap you in the face with the top of the top knowledge, then charge $12 for like the beginner knowledge, $12 a week. At $17 a week, if I'm not mistaken, that's $17 a week for, I'll say 250 students. That's what, $17,000 a month?
Okay. Let me get
Yeah.
Let me calculate that for you. So you say $17 a week.
Yep, for 250 students.
Times 250.
Yep.
That's $4,250.
Yep, and times 4.
Times 4, yes, a month. Oh, that's $17,000.
$17,000. I was right.
Wow.
$17,000 that you can make from doing this. And the greatest part is, I only had to teach that lesson once.
Yeah.
I hated teaching the same lesson, especially like I'm teaching this 5 students the same lesson at one time, and then they didn't even go home and practice. And so the very next week, I'm like, left, right, and I'm like, oh, like this is freaking, I'm about to lose my mind. So I'm like, man, I got to figure out an easier way to do this. And so I literally make one video, and you go get the lesson plan. Obviously, it's stipulations. When you stop it, you get nothing. And all the lessons stay. But when you join, everything is right there. Yeah. So it's like a candy store. It's like, man,
recorded.
Yeah, and there's different sections: lesson of the week, chop of the week, weekly fill, study the greats, articles, all that stuff. Just compiling, and it's like, I think the problem that many musicians have when it comes to scaling is you look at the difficulty it took you to learn your craft, and you don't understand that somebody else is going through like 10 times that difficulty. Because you might be gifted and it might have taken you 8 years to do it, but somebody's been doing this. Like I have students now, like I've been playing for 30 years, man. I just can't get that paradiddle thing. Oh, wow. And I'm like, man, I did that in a day. And so it's like, if you teach people to do the things that may have been hard for you or easy for you, man, you'll make so much money because it's something that they want to, it's, you have to think for other people, essentially. Like they're not doing it because they want to get rich. They're not doing it because they love the church so much. They want to do it because, like humans, we want to feel accomplished or something. Somebody's paying $17 so they can learn how to do a fill and just move on with their day. Yeah. As crazy as it sounds, like, yeah, I did it, done. And you're missing out on money because you're like, nah, I don't want to do that because, like, who really wants to? All you're going to get far, you're only going to get as far as the church, and they don't really pay. It's like, no, that's your story. Don't embed that. That's the worst thing you do in finance is embed your story in somebody else. Like, I am a thinker, and so when I see a lot of products that might seem stupid to me, I'm like, why would you buy that? And then you found out they made 3.3 million in sales. You're like, yo. So it's like, don't embed your thought process as someone else, you know?
Okay. So drummers out there, man, I know a lot of musicians, they're not making money. Yeah. They know how to play. They're good. Yeah. But they don't know how to make money. Yeah. They haven't learned that part. Man, teach other people what you know. Yeah. $17 a week. Yep. That's $68 a month. Yep. Get yourself 250 people to do that. And you make $17,000 a month. Man, you don't need to get a job, man.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, the craziest part is I've taken a break recently because I've been down. I made a prayer to God in regard to my relationship, and I didn't know the prayer would be so detrimental. Like, I lost everything. And I want to sidebar just for a second because I do want to spend time answering the latter of that, the drumming aspect and business. But I made a prayer about my relationship because I was just tired of falling for the same women. Before I actually found my girlfriend, I went about 7-8 months, just me and Jesus. And I made this prayer. I wanted to see how serious she was about the relationship. And I knew she came in when I was already making over 6 figures. And so I'm like, man, God, you gotta show me something about her. Like, show me that it's real. And I've been tested by God before, but to the nature of this degree is insane because when I tell you I lost everything, I was so broke that not only did I get kicked out of my house, but I got kicked out of my house I could barely afford food, which wasn't crazy to me. Like I've gained weight back, but I've water fasted and stuff, and I was like almost 500 pounds at one point. And so that's cool, easy peasy. But I was worried that I couldn't do it for her. But the harshest and hardest thing for me ever in my life was from that prayer. I had a dog, and my boy Nico, man, I love him, I miss him. I couldn't afford to keep him.
Oof.
And so we went to offer him up and do owner surrender. Like, hey man, we can't afford him. Can you give him to a good family? And come to find out, they euthanized him. They put him down. And I've been living with that thing ever since.
Wow.
And meanwhile, while all that stuff is going down, I'm suffering with the pain and all that. In my heart, God is telling me essentially He is answering the prayer. And I'm like, I don't really know how to take that other than like a dog. My boy just got put down. But I had to come to the realization that was a human error. And that wasn't something that was permissible. God came together and spoke to me about the situation. And we've been through some tough things that brought us back together and brought us closer together that really answered the prayer.
So that happened while you were with your girlfriend.
Correct. Yep.
You lost what year was that?
That was last year.
Last year.
And that was a culture shock because, like I said, in 2020, that's when I made my first 6 figures.
Yeah.
And the way it happened was insane. It was even more of a stab to the gut. There was a project that I was on to migrate. I was working with CEOs and COOs, so I was very close. The meetings that we had in the morning weren't meetings like, hey guys, here are the Microsoft thing. No, it was like, hey man, this is how you scale. This is how you do this. Like, it was those meetings. Like, I felt like I wasn't even supposed to be there. And that was the epitome of where I was at the time. But the way they let me go was just a gut-wrenching stab. It's like, hey, and this is my interpretation, because they don't put it to you like this, but it's like, hey man, you really did an amazing job. This thing that you were supposed to do for us was a 3-year project, and we hired you full time because we knew you could be capable of it. We intended on hiring you forever. However, you came in, not only did you complete the project in 8 months, but you got all this documentation, all this other stuff, and we can give this to other people. It will save us so much money if we keep your documents and how you did things and set it and forget it. And sorry, man, we got to let you go. I was like, what the fudge?
What?
Right. And I'm like, dude. And so, and I went to Microsoft conferences and everything. I've learned how to build like your own like AI chat GPT stuff, like all that stuff. Like, essentially, right, with the help of chat GPT, ironically. But I've learned all that. And it's like, I was like, man. And so the news hurt me, but how, like, my relationship with God, I knew that was His. Like, I made that prayer. That was like the following week. And it was a hospital that I was contracting under too, that I was doing pretty much the same thing for, but a slower transition. They were still on like on premises, so I was transitioning them slower. They were like, yeah, we just kind of want you in office. Like, you're valuable, man, but can we get you here? So it was like their bargaining chip. Yeah. Can you move to Virginia? I was like, nah. I said, all right, man, we gotta let you go. And so it happened back to back.
Wow.
And I'm like, dang. And so I knew it was definitely something from God, but that was last year, man. Last year.
Wow. Man, we go through things, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you, whoever you see in this world doing great things, they have a story behind it.
Oh, man, for sure.
You don't need to ask them whatever. If they sit you down, they're going to tell you a few things.
Yeah. And there's this like extreme stoicism between people sometimes. So like, when you saw me at the gym, I'm unsure and unaware of how I look sometimes, but my girlfriend did let me know, like, when you walk in, you're just kind of like really angry looking. Also, to me, it's just like this. It's like a zone of like survival. Like I'm sure you can attest to this as a man, and I'm sure ladies too. But ladies have a different look. As a man, like, you have that face right now as you're looking at me. There's a story behind you as well. Yeah. And the stoicism of the surviving the story is what makes you, right? You can, a human being can tell who's been through certain things, and it's inspirational without even words. You see somebody, you're like, that's a person right there that, yeah, he's been through some, you just sense it, you know?
Yep, I have a story almost like yours. But I ain't gonna talk about it right now.
Yeah, I gotta get you to our podcast. Yeah, all right, let's set that up. Yeah,
man. Yeah. So wow, that's really powerful. Let me see how long we've been going. Almost an hour.
Yeah.
So let's go back to relationships. So about drums, you teach people how to drummers to scale up.
Yes.
Like to make more money.
Yes.
You teach them how to do that. And as you just showed me here, I'm about to take the lesson so I can, make like $17,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like 250 people to take classes from you from about 1 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
Like getting 250 people to take your classes.
And that's a low number. So I haven't ran ads or anything yet. I needed to get, which we got the house. We move in on Friday.
Yeah.
And so I needed to set the atmosphere up.
Hey, congratulations,
Thank you, man. And so I didn't want to do anything until that time. But the crazy thing is, I'm posting on social media. It's growing-ish, right? 6,000 subscribers on YouTube and others. But it's like, it's really a math game too. Like 2 to 10% of the people who watch you are going to actually.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
And to see even in that, like people come in like, oh yeah, like without even thinking. Some people might schedule consultations, like what do you need, or fill out the form. It's very imperative to find out what they need. Yeah. Some people just go straight to the site, bam, sign up.
$17.
No ads, $17 a week. Yeah. No ads, no nothing. And the thing is, when I do start scaling, you figure of that 17, if we use that $17,000. You're thinking maybe 3,000 of that is definitely going to go to advertisements and stuff. Yeah. Because of the pricing structure, and honing in on what my target niche is. Yeah. Because I can't target other people of my caliber, but the beauty of it is people of my caliber who do play for these famous artists, and they're still not pushing past 6 figures. Now you charge them, unfortunately, you charge them a little bit more. Yeah. You charge them 100 something a week. You charge them, you know what I mean? Because
and that's still
not bad. Yeah. Still, it could be,
$100, yeah.
It could be bad, but it's like now, but also because where they work, what they're working with,
that's
you know what I mean? So yeah.
And that's good. Now, if you've been struggling, finding a way to make money as a musician, as a drummer, you'll find your guy right here, man.
Absolutely.
That's all I can say.
I have nothing to hide
now, from that. Let's go back to relationship.
Yeah.
So you teaching someone, like you have a couple. Okay, let me ask the question like this. What reasons or what would cause a couple to contact you so that you can help them out?
That is an amazing question. Before, I'm going to spend 30 seconds on this before I answer your question. Yeah. Prior to being with Vet, I had my thought processes, and about 80% of people can disagree with them, right? The 20% will contact me, but those were men who say, man, I know what you're talking about. Now that Vet is in the picture and a woman is saying the exact same thing that I'm saying, now it's a blend. And so people who would come to me are people who are completely tired, a lot of times, not of their partner. You go to therapy for that. When you say, I'm tired of my partner, I'm tired of, that's the biggest difference between life coaching and therapy. Yeah. Therapy is a place where you go to vent and say, unfortunately, it's not supposed to be that. Oh, he does this, she does this, I don't like this. Coaching is where you're like, I am freaking my life up. And so the raw truth of what I give is what drives people in. It's like, you're saying that on the internet, like, honestly and truthfully, you're saying that? Like, we're so used to hiding ourselves within relationships. Excuse me. We're so used to hiding ourselves within relationships. And so to find somebody like, wow. So when you come to me, first and foremost, I don't know you. But secondly, I'm going to tell you the absolute truth as what it aligns with in my Bible. And I know it sounds bad, but I'm going to tell you the truth in what works. And so I'd rather you follow what's in the Bible. But what works is something like there are some secret hidden gems of life that work that are not sin or sinful. And there are some, so like, for example, one thing I do talk about, not to get too heavy into it, is like intimacy and how to build a woman's mind, right? You build her mind, and after you've had a amazing intimate, like you build her and you withhold, and then after you withhold that, like you don't, hey, you're beautiful, hey, you're this, hey, you're this. After you've had an intimate moment with her, that's when you tell her something about herself in an accomplishment way, right? You see she's been working on something. You see her, she's writing a book or something like that. That's when you take that chance. You say, man, I read some of that book you had, man. I wasn't supposed to, but I read some of that book. Your mind is amazing. Oh my gosh. And you have her. It's stuff like that I teach.
Okay.
That for 1-2 things, they're not going to teach you that in the church. Didn't learn that in my marriages. They just said, get married and get out. And then the second thing is, that's also stuff that, not that it's wrong, that you don't see in the Bible, but it's stuff that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they come to me, a lot of times they come to me and they come to us now, Vet and I, because they realize I'm the problem and time is not on my side. I'm getting older. I want to make some changes.
Okay. So I don't know much problems that going on, but I would say, like, tell me one reason, like when they come to you, I know, okay, they're tired, but tired of what?
Oh man, sexless marriage.
Okay.
Number 1, sexless marriage. And this is where I'm almost certain you're going to disagree with me. And that is a great thing. This is where a lot of people disagree with me. But in relationships, you have maybe 60% that are power dynamics, and you have the other 40 that actually really love each other. 9 times out of 10 with both, you're always going to have somebody who's chasing, always someone who's running away. Unless you have 2 people who follow biblical principles and biblical standards, you're going to have somebody who's chasing, somebody who's running away. Now, with that, a lot of that stuff is going to be sexless marriages. And one of the things that I consistently say, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, is if you have, because it's the men most of the time, right? You don't find a woman complaining a lot. Like, oh, he's not really putting out. What? It's us who are conformed, and we are the ones who are wired to populate the earth. That's how we're wired, right? It wasn't necessarily completely permissive, but it was sought after for kings to have 200 wives, because that was a norm for them, because they knew not only will the woman's sex drive come down, but they got to have kids. Now I'm putting on hold and all that stuff, all that good jazz. But with sexless marriages, that's why they came to me. And my short answer always will be, hey, this is going to kick you in. You'll never have to come see me ever again. Either you're going to put out, whatever reason it is, take out the emotions, right? Take out the emotions. Because one big thing that we see in relationships is, oh my gosh, and you'd be surprised how popular this is. Oh my gosh, I love my wife. You know, it's been a year after deliverance has died. She's not putting out anymore. Then you say, well, you know, I don't really like the fact that, you know, he's kind of asking me and I'm going through this. And he goes and says, well, you know, I still have my needs. Well, I still want to be heard. Well, and then it turns into, oh my gosh, she's really not putting out more. He's complaining. He looks weaker. He looks softer. And so she then seeks another male who might seem stronger. And then he doesn't really want anything from her, but he really does. And so she gives it to him. Then she may move on with him, and then a year, 2 years after that, it's the same cycle. Or it's the fact that he ends up cheating or does something else. She placed her in a situation she didn't have to be in because of simple obedience. The Bible's saying that your body is not yours and your body is not yours. You guys come together unless you're going to fast and agree. You would have killed all of that. And so taking emotions out. The second thing I tell them is, when it really boils down to a marriage and, you know, intimacy, you are going to do it, or you're going to have to tag somebody else in to do it. And most people say, are you out of your mind? Because if I fail on giving you emotional support, I trust and believe that you will find it somewhere else. And emotional support is the biggest for a woman. But emotional support that she's getting from a friend or a colleague or a coworker doesn't really mean that she's cheating, unless she's gathering those romantic emotions, right? And so my assumption is you're going to get them somewhere else. So I'd rather sit down and you tell me about your day, and I'm like, word, what, girl, no way. And you feel safe. then you do that, because I believe it's very demonic to sit here and say, hey, I don't really want to, do it with you, and I don't really want to do that. And then you say, but you can't go anywhere else. That's insane. And I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry if it sounds bad, but I am batting 10 for 10 when I have personally said, hey, you going to do it or somebody else going to do it. When I tell you that after that, even if I have to ask, the answer's been yes. Yes.
Wow.
Because it's like, you got to understand. Now, there's kind of leverage points to that too, because most women will say, well, whatever's important to you, to me, whatever attracts you to me, it kind of went out the window. But as a woman sees you, for instance, like I'm a drummer, and so another woman sees me, I'm in my element, she doesn't know me. She sees me on stage in front of 10,000 people, and there's camera angles and what we do is we call it stealing camera time. So I like to steal a lot of camera time. When I'm playing, I'm just smiling, just smiling and doing all sorts of stuff, and the cameras is just going crazy. And so a random woman sees that, and so it's like, that's something that your woman has to think about, is like that easy access. Somebody, you might call a group, whatever you want to call her, groupie, all that stuff. She saw how amazing that moment is, and she wants a part of that. That's something to think about. And that's the thing too, like with my girlfriend and other people, I don't care if you think that your wife is the sloppiest woman in the world. Some guy looking at her, she may be doing taxes at the job, and he might be like, man, you got me $2,000 when they said I'm about to get locked up for tax fraud. And that might be like, whoa, like, girl, you got something good. Somebody in life wants what you want. And so when a person comes to me and they want teaching, they want coaching on what's going to help them, what's going to help them become better, got to understand, man, you got to be accountable. You're going to do it or somebody else is going to do it. And we'll make an agreement.
Man, that's this is good, man. Let's see. Man, we got to bring you back on the podcast.
For sure.
We had to bring you back, man, because, this is... I believe we got to do some more things together, right? Bring some couples together and in a room and really talk about these things. In fact, we got to plan something, man, because our anniversary is coming up in April.
Okay.
And we were thinking about doing something, bringing couples, like married couples together. And kind of have a talk with them and things like that. Issues that are going on and trying to see how we could help them out. Right? As we help ourselves out, right?
Absolutely.
Because there is no perfect marriage on earth, right? So everybody has their issues. So we bring a lot of married couples together, and we talk about what's going on. And I'll talk to you, man.
Let's definitely talk after this, because I have quite a few couples that would actually love that idea. And the knowledge that they have, there are people who are happy on this earth, and like the same with drumming, right? How I did the math before I did all this stuff. There are people who are happy and they're like, man, I found my one after struggling with so many people. This is great. So death do us part, I'm happy. And then you're like, it's like I use the analogy on Batman where the Dark Knight Rises. I'm not sure if you saw it.
No.
Bane broke his spine and threw him into a dark cave. And the cave was maybe 100 feet high. And so it was a prison. And the only stipulation to getting out of the prison was just that, getting out. And so many men have tried to get out. You have to literally climb the caves, jump from one side to the other, and the rope would hold you. And so the rope would hold you. And after so many tries, his back heals, everything, of course, of months. He tried maybe twice, I think 3 times, with the rope on. And he realized the only way to actually jump across the final jump to get out is to just take the rope off, because that's the reason I can't make it. It's snatching me and then it's dragging me down and that snap. And so he took it off one day, risking life itself.
Wow.
All the way at the top. And he's like, man. So he finally makes a jump. When he makes a jump, his hand barely touches it. He pulls himself up. He made it. Now he climbs to the top. What no one knew was there was a rope wrapped around, maybe like a 300-foot rope just wrapped around the top. And he looks at the rope, he picks the rope up and tosses it down. So now everybody in the prison has a fighting chance to just climb up. And so I use that analogy in marriages where people are like, man, I'm happy. This is great. I love this. Yeah. And it's like the prisoners are looking up like, hey, man, you gotta throw that rope down. Like, what about
help me out?
Man, give me some advice, man, some knowledge. So, yeah, man, I believe that. It's
good.
It's our job.
It's powerful, man. Yeah, so, man, that's good. That's good. All right. If you have any question, please go ahead and put it in the comment. Because this is powerful, man. I was not expecting this for the day. Yes, of course. Now, if you have a few more words that you want to share with the people, what would it be?
I would say my number one motto, as I said earlier, is it's not a requirement for you to believe in yourself. Just believe in results. That will change every single thing you ever do.
Believe in results.
Believe in results.
Okay.
Someone has done it before you.
Okay.
You know, and if no one has done that particular task, there are byproducts of that task. If you say, I want to be the first bodybuilder who doesn't have any legs, right, per se, there's someone who's done that task before you. There are micro. Right? You still have your biceps, you have your triceps, you have your traps. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? You have all these different avenues where somebody worked that muscle up. So in any avenue, somebody has done some small thing. You have a large business idea of not franchising, but renting out cars. There's a lot of people who make car payments before. That's right. Yeah. You know? So there's always some way. Believe in the process. Whatever the process is, believe in the results before you believe in yourself. Always.
Somebody else has done what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Cool. That's powerful, man. Well, thank you so much, man, for being on the show today.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's about over an hour of conversation. That was good. That was really good, man.
Absolutely.
So, everybody, man, thank you very much for watching the video today. This is It's Possible Podcast, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.